So this is listed for 35,000. This might be the best property I've seen so far. So what do you think?
Yes.
Should we sacrifice being close to everywhere we need to be and just buy this one? Hi guys, and welcome to another video. So this is the video you've all been waiting for, and I'm quite sure that most of you subscribe to this kind of content. To give you a little bit of a backstory of what I want to do and why I want to do it. When Adam was 1 year old, I separated from his dad, and since then it's just me and him. And I've always wanted a homestead and many kids. Of course, I don't know about many kids anymore, but I realized I wanted to do the homestead, and I always thought somehow you need to be older, and like I think many people do, but the ideal is to do it when you're young, of course, because you need all the energy and the strength and the motivation. And I'm passionate about creating my own products like bread and having milk from my goats and eggs from my chickens and meat from my animals, and selling it to people as well, because I think it's something that's really missing. And the idea is to also have a bakery on my land after a few years, of course, because that's a bigger investment. Also do tourism, perhaps sell some vegetables, you know, anything I can do to make an income. Right now I'm doing the markets, so I'm selling food at the markets. There is one alternative market every week. I'm trying to do 2 per month. Spinach pie, sourdough, cinnamon rolls, and eclairs, and I will make a video dedicated to that, where I will show you how I prepare for the market, what I do, what I sell, a bit about the market day. As a single mom living alone with Adam, I don't miss human interaction so much. I don't miss having a partner. I don't think I have the time to have a partner at the moment, but what I really miss is a second opinion. That's really something. If you're single, maybe you relate to that, but it's just so frustrating to just be the only one who makes big decisions. It just puts so much pressure on you, and it's just so difficult to know if you only hear yourself and no one else. So my mom came here to visit us for a week, and I took her around and I showed her all the properties that I'm considering at the moment. And she really helped, because she only liked 3 out of the almost 10 I think that I had. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our journey and how we ended up here, how we chose this specific area here in Portugal to start our homestead, the properties that I'm considering at the moment, how I'm choosing the right property to buy, and all the tips that I have regarding buying property in Portugal. And yeah, let's get into it. So we came to this area about 6 months ago, traveling from Greece, and the first place that we visited was the area that we're in now. So this is near Tabua, Coimbra, and actually the first time that we came here was 2 years ago, and it was with Workaway. Adam and I volunteered for a year with Workaway on different farms in Portugal, Spain, and France to gain some homesteading experience and figure out where we want to settle. And our very first hosts were Andrew and Laura, who are very good friends of ours right now. So 6 months ago, we came back to this place and volunteered for them again. And this time I knew I wanted to settle in Portugal. I just didn't know which area was the best for us. So what we did is we came back here, we volunteered for them for another 2 months, and then we got a second-hand caravan and a second-hand van, like a little van with space at the back for bread that I want to be selling in the future. And having these 2 vehicles, off we went to our adventure, and we explored a big part of Portugal just to figure out where we want to settle, to learn about alternative school projects, alternative communities, um, yeah, different climates and things like that. So the first place we explored was Benfeita. It's a beautiful area with lots of water and mountains. It's very steep, but many people ended up settling there, and so a non-intentional community is formed. When we left for good with our caravan, we went to Lausanne, but for me that area wasn't great because there was no alternative school, there was not really an alternative community, and the same with the next destination, Penella, where we went. Also, land was quite expensive in both Lausanne and Penella for me, for what I'm looking for. Okay, next we went to Tomar, which I really liked, and actually was my first choice, but I will tell you more in a little bit why I didn't end up choosing Tomar. But it was really beautiful. The alternative community was not very strong again, but land was cheap. There was a great alternative school project, 4 days per week, 300 euros per month, I think. And it's very close to Lisbon. It's about 1 or 1.5 hours from Lisbon, I think. So it ticked a lot of boxes for me. And then we moved on to Óbidos, which is also 1 hour from Lisbon, but on the coast, and was very expensive there. And so then we moved on closer to Lisbon. We went to Colares. Land was crazy expensive there, of course, because it's so close to Lisbon. So that was definitely a no-no. And then we went to Monchique. So I've heard so many good things about Monchique, and I was really looking forward to visit it. But when we went there, I was shocked at the amount of eucalyptus trees that exist there. Then we moved on to Castelo Branco, which is in central Portugal, and it's where many people choose to live and settle and form a community. Land was extremely cheap there. You can find anything you're looking for because Portugal kind of wants to attract more people to the center because many people have left. But there was not really an alternative school project. So then after Castelo Branco, we went to São Pedro do Sul, which was also our last stop. And I had heard many good things about São Pedro do Sul, so I really wanted to check it out. And I found a land there that I absolutely fell in love with. You know how so many people tell you, oh, you will know when you see your dream land and all that. That's the only land that I fell in love with. And it was really beautiful. It had 3 natural springs, and it was lush green, and it had exactly the inclination that I needed because I also don't want a completely flat land, as I want to do like water retention and to catch rainwater and send it to ponds and things like that. So I was very close to buying this land, but then again, there was no alternative school project. There were some around, but not so great. I had almost decided to settle in Tomar. But then I just passed this area again where we're now, just to say goodbye to our friends and just see them one more time. And I kind of decided to stay here because in Tomar, the only thing that actually attracted me was the school and that it's close to Lisbon. But other than that, the land there was quite flat. So I kind of prefer the landscape here. And I mean, here there are some alternative school projects as well. It's not that there is nothing, but there is not really a full-time alternative school project, except for one, which is always full. Of course, when you're buying land, you should write down all the needs and criteria and considerations you might have. My criteria are good access, water, budget. I have a very tight budget. I kind of want my property to be a bit secluded, but also not so far from civilization. I want it to be away from a lot of eucalyptus and pine trees for the high fire risk. I want to be between 1 to 2 hectares, so not very small or very big. So let's have a look at the properties, and then I'm gonna give you a few tips that I've learned along the way. All right, so right now I'm considering 3 different properties. One is in Vigno, one is in Kovash, and one is near Koja. So let me show you these ones. The one in Kovash I've visited more than 3 times, and it's a beautiful property. It's quite secluded. There is a ruin that can be rebuilt, although it's not a habitational ruin. So that's a bit complicated, but there is a forest area, there is a flat area, there is a stream running through the property, and it's really beautiful. You know, the last time we went to visit it with my mom, actually, that she was here from Greece visiting, a horse from a neighbor came onto the property to say hello, and it was so beautiful and I don't know, so romantic. I'm really considering this property. Although when I went to the council here in Tabwa, they said to me that there's high risk on this property, so I cannot extend the ruin or build another structure um, or even park something temporary as a yurt or container on this property. So that's devastating news. I will try with an architect who seems to know, you know, his job around here, but my lawyer said that if the council said no, then I can spend my money with an architect to just get a no at the end. So this is one I really like. And then there is another property near Koja that we went to visit with my mom, and that was a recommendation from a friend. And it's not listed on the internet. We went there, we visited. The owners are clearing the land. So it's going to be ready. There is a ruin there, but it's not a habitational ruin again. They claim that we can build on the land, but that's to be, you know, confirmed. And it's a beautiful property. You can see the river, you can hear the river. It's near everything, and it's very cheap. It's 11,000 meters, and it costs 20,000 euros. So I really hope, you know, I can build on this property, because then it's going to be a great offer. And then the last property that I visited not so long ago, it was actually, I think it was the last property I visited. It was a beautiful one. It's ready to go. They've cleared the land. There is a ruin. They're not sure if I can build more on the land or turn the ruin into a habitational ruin. But that's, you know, to be confirmed. And the issue with that property is that there are many neighbors around, and it's very visible. So I'm not gonna do anything illegal there, you know. I wouldn't really care. But one idea is, what many people do here is to host lunch or brunch or whatever on their land. So I was thinking to do that with brunch, and that could bother some neighbors, of course. So that's one worry that I have. But all in all, these are the properties I'm really considering and working on with a lawyer and an architect. And I will have news very soon and update you. And I just want to quickly show you 2 properties that I rejected and why. The one is in Lagares de Beira, and I quite like that property, especially the documents, because I can actually have 2 legal buildings on that property, and it's 3 hectares. It has water, it's south facing, it has great access, but we visited with my mom and she really didn't like the vibe there. I don't know, the energy, and it's really in the center of the village, so you have many houses around, and it's just, yeah, not as pretty as the other ones. And also it's very close to a factory, although this factory doesn't really pollute the air from long distance, so that won't be a huge problem. But just so that you get an idea of the problems that you might encounter, it could be a factory, it could be a road that's coming nearby, it could be a monoculture farm that uses pesticides, it could be so many things. So you always have to be very well informed, to pay close attention, to ask the locals, to ask the council, to ask the architect, to have the lawyer research it for you. Actually, also one more property that I rejected was in Cerdeira, and that was quite complicated because it was in less than 1,000 meters, I think. There was a concrete house built, but it was not legalized. And right next to it, a neighbor was selling, I think, almost 2 hectares of land, something like that. And together they would sell it for 50,000, whereas the house on its own was like 35,000, I think. The person selling the house said that if I was to buy both together, then the plot would be big enough for the house to be legalized. But that's just so complicated and it would take a long time, and I'm not sure about that. So I'm going with these 3 properties now, and I hope to have news very soon. And I really hope to buy a property at last and start my homestead and embark on this journey of self-sufficiency and produce my own vegetables and fruit and meat and animal products and everything. As I promised, I'm going to give you my best tips on looking for land in Portugal.